I want to introduce you to a function that is very, very useful that you'll find that you use all the time. And this is the hide function and the unhide function, and then there's also unhide all. So the reason that this is such a helpful and useful function is that it allows you to navigate through your model and start to work on individual items one at a time, or get things out of your way that you don't want to see. And you'll notice as we start to work with models that are much more complex, so far we've been clearly working with really, really basic, clean shapes and clean little models. But as we start getting into the world of lots of walls, furniture, all the kinds of things that you're going to have in a huge project, you're going to want to be able to hide things that you don't want to see, just to keep things easier while you're working. So the most basic way you hide something is you select the item you want to hide, you go to your right click on your mouse, and you just scroll down to hide. Now you want to be very careful because notice it's right next to erase. So make sure that you're hitting hide, because if you do something, if you hit hide, or I'm sorry, if you hit erase, you're going to think that you've hit hide and you've actually deleted it. I'll give you some shortcuts next week that'll make it so that that's not something you'll ever have to worry about. But just so you know where it is, that's where it is. If you want to bring that back, you can go to Edit. First of all, you can do undo unhide, which is like just undoing what you just did. But you can also choose unhide either last or all. Since we've only hidden one thing, right now I'm just going to click on last. So that's my unhide, the last thing I've hidden, or unhide all would have worked as well. If I click on this and I right click and I say hide, right click on this and I say hide, right click on this and I say hide, I'm still going to go to Edit, Unhide, Last, because all three of those things were hidden within one gesture. Excuse me. Let's say I click on this and I go unhide, I go hide, and I click on this one and I say hide. And again, note I'm using my select tool. And then in the meantime, I do something that breaks that up. So I do a rectangle. I go to my select tool and I double click it and I make it a group. So I've kind of just interrupted that hiding chain. Now I click on this and I right click and I say hide. If I go to Edit, Unhide, Edit, Unhide, Last, the only thing that's going to come up is this. And the reason for that is that I've broken the chain of hiding. So I wasn't just hiding. I was hiding, and then I did something in between, and then I hid this. So if I want to bring everything else back, I can do Edit, Unhide, All. And that's going to unhide everything in my model that I've got hidden. Another thing that I want to make that you'll potentially run into, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Another thing that you'll potentially run into is losing something, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but I just want to warn you right out the gate that when you double click on something to open it up, you never want to hide it while it's open. So if I select this and I go to Edit, Hide, and I lose it, so not lose it, but I've hidden it now, you can see that the group is still there, and I click out in space. And let's go ahead and make another rectangle and do something in between. So I click on my rectangle with my select tool and I make it a group. Now I hide this just to kind of confuse the program a little bit. Now if I do Edit, Unhide, Last, that comes back. But you'll notice that my cylinder does not come back. So naturally I would think that I would want to go to Edit, Unhide, All. And you'll notice that nothing happens. The reason for that is because I've hidden this material and this geometry while it was in an open group. And the group has now been closed. So essentially, for lack of a better explanation, SketchUp has kind of forgotten that it's there because the group is closed. So there's almost no way to get it back. It seems like I've now lost it forever. What I can do here is I can go to View, Hidden Geometry, and you'll see that I've got that still there. Everything is still where it needs to be, and that's a toggle off and on. So if I go View, Hidden Geometry, and toggle it off like that, I can toggle it off and on. But you can also see that I've got my geometry, these little dotted lines here. View Hidden Geometry is something that shows you all of the lines that actually exist within your model. You can see that these are all flat planes. SketchUp smooths these curves out for you automatically by default, but if you see the if you start to view the hidden geometry, you can see that everything is really just a flat plane like we talked about earlier. So now that I've turned View Hidden Geometry on, I can select this because I can see it again. And the only way to get it back is to open that group up again and do an Edit. Actually, let me go ahead and select it like this, and right-click on it and unhide it. And then I can click out into the outside of the group. So I'm going to go ahead and turn View Hidden Geometry off. So that's just a kind of little small fair warning not to hide something while a group is open, because you'll think that you've lost it, but you might not have lost it. But it's always a better idea. You always want your groups to be closed before you hide something. Let me show you this example of a model here. This is just a relatively simple commercial space, but I just wanted to, we've been kind of working with really simple fields so far, so I just wanted to show you that hide can be a really useful thing while you're working. So if I want to work in this room but I keep getting stuck in this glass, I can actually just select this glass, which you'll notice has all been grouped, and I can right click and I can hide it. Now I can get into this room a little bit easier and work, and then when I'm done I can just go to Edit, Unhide All, and bring that glass back, or unhide last in that case. But if I want to get rid of my standing figure here while I'm working, I can just right click and hide. I can right click and hide. Down the road, just kind of food for thought, these are some things that we might consider putting on layers eventually to clean up our model a little bit, like, you know, put your people on layers, put your furniture on layers, and you can turn that stuff off and on. But for now, we're dealing with just, you know, we're building up on that. So I'm just going to hide things as I work so I can start to see if I wanted to get under this table and make a little adjustment to this, and I wanted to pull it in a certain direction, and then right click and close that group. It's easier to do so if I've hidden what's around it. And I can always go back at the end and do an Edit, Unhide All, and that'll bring everything back. Another thing to notice is how everything in this model is grouped. And we're going to start getting into grouping things within groups a little bit later, but you'll notice that everything here is editable and movable, so I can move this stuff by going to my Move tool, and I can make adjustments where I want. All of these items, go ahead and hit Escape. All of these items are individual pieces. Let me go ahead and just pull way out here. I'm just going to zoom way out. All of these items are individual pieces. So I've got a group here that when I open up, by double clicking on it, I've got different individual groups here. I'm not using I'm not using one shape that becomes all one thing. Every little piece has its own group. Let me go ahead and use my hide tool so I can look in this room a little bit, and you'll notice that all of these are their own groups. And within these groups, if I open them up, are groups, and you'll see that they're all selecting because we're now looking at a component, which we'll get into later. But you'll see that all of these groups have subgroups within them that make sense for the chair. So even down to the legs on the bottom of the chair, everything is its own little group. And you kind of have to think of this the way you think of things in real life. Like, not everything is carved out of one big piece of something. Typically, everything is put together in small pieces. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of hide, unhide, and unhide all. We'll use that a lot as we move forward in making models, and I'll be hiding things and I'll be unhiding them, and you'll know now how you can get to those functions.